the Warriors, and they have agreed to trade Chris Paul. So the talk was they're going to buy Chris Paul out. Well, no, they found a sucker to take Chris Paul, and the sucker is Golden State. These are your daddy's Golden State Warriors now, as Chris Paul, the washed-up, rotting carcass of Chris Paul heading from Washington, although he never actually played for the Wizards, but his contract briefly belonged to Washington, and he goes to the Golden State Warriors in exchange for Jordan Poole. It's a pool party. The future draft assets also going back to Washington. So this is a much different way to look at the Bradley Beal trade, as this is the third leg on the Bradley Beal trade. But the draft compensation, a bunch of first-round picks. But I'm getting old because 2030, they traded a pick in 2030. Doesn't that seems like it's a long way away. It's actually not that long away. We're not that far away from 2030. Holy crap. And a second-round pick in 2027, which also feels like it should be far away. It's not that far away. There were some other picks and somebody you never heard of who was also traded. So let us discuss low. Don't bury the lead, my man. All right, we're not going to bury the lead. So what is your initial takeaway from Chris Paul going to the Warriors? Not the Lakers, not the Clippers. The Warriors. So I've got Howie Mandel, Pirouette, and Old Western. And holy moly, we're going to do a wellness check on all the diehard Dubs fans that call the show from the Bay Area. We'll see how they're doing there. Probably not well at this point. All right, so Golden State, to answer the question, what is your takeaway initially from Chris Paul going to the Warriors? The report card, the Maller report card is a D. That's a D for Golden State. And somewhere, and I don't know where, probably in Northern California, the GM, Bob Myers, is sitting down, having a glass of scotch, and smiling ear to ear, Cheshire Cat smile from ear to ear, because he is the guy that sold the house before the sinkhole swallowed up the Warriors. In this case, Jordan Poole. And then there's somewhere else in the Warrior offices, in the bowels of the Golden State Warriors headquarters, where Mike Dunleavy Jr., his first act as the general manager there, he is right now raiding the minibar. Wowzers! Right? And essentially playing Howie Mandel on this one, a game show that was popular a few years back, Deal or No Deal. Dunleavy picked suitcase number 38. The banker called him up and said, I've got a sweetheart offer here. Don't take number 38. And Dunleavy said, no deal. And he pushed the button down there, no deal. And instead, he chose case number 38. That is CP3. And likely that means that Draymond Green will be part of this. So they take CP3 and Draymond Green over Jordan Poole. You are not a millionaire. Now, Chris Paul is a millionaire. He's also 38 years old, and his best days were in the rearview mirror, or are in the rearview mirror. Chris Paul, Hall of Fame career, all that. Best days were in Lob City with the Clips. And Ball Hawk, he's a guy that is not going to cede possession of the basketball. He loves to hold the ball. CP3 can open also, in addition to holding the ball a long time, he can also open his own Italian eatery. He's had so many meatball surgeries over the years. He's undependable. You can't rely on this guy. And that's the guy Golden State's betting on? That's the guy? Now, all that said, clearly Chris Paul picked the Warriors. He could have chosen the Clippers. Thank God he didn't. Or the Lakers. That would have been fun for us. But instead, he thinks he's found his Casablanca. And he's going to go into Golden State and cherry pick a championship. And will that work as well as it did for Karl Malone back in the day when he latched on to the end of the Laker train? Choo-choo! Yeah. Good luck. So Chris Paul, despite playing the same exact position as Steph Curry, will be on the Warriors, and he will be asked to slide over, do the slide shuffle. And you are now Jordan Poole. You will get the minutes Jordan Poole had, and you will be the third wheel, and you will play with Curry and Klay Thompson. Splish, splash, Boy, is that a bad fit. Chris will be a liability on defense when he plays, and that's just the reality. And think of this, like the Dubs, even though they're getting older now, boy, they're getting old by NBA standards. But the Dubs are a premium brand Lego. You know, you're a kid, you want Legos, and then CP3 is like a nano block. You're like, well, no, Mom, I wanted the Lego. No, you got a nano block. Deal with it, kid. Yeah, that's the nano. At this point, he's a nano block. He used to be a Lego. He's a nano block now. He's a rip-off version of Lego. All right, now page 2. Why did the Warriors trade Jordan Poole? So you do not have to be Woj or Shams to know why they did this. You just have to have a pulse. The Warriors were coerced into trading Jordan Poole. Draymond Green opted out of his contract recently, and it was either Draymond's way or the highway. And they chose Draymond way, and they sent Jordan Poole on the Winnemucca Road, the dusty Winnemucca Road. And so Golden State has picked the green team over the kiddie pool. And Draymond, right now on his podcast, is doing a Vince McMahon power walk, strutting down the runway, and he's going to do a pirouette, and then he's going to flex. Because Draymond Green, he hasn't re-signed with the Warriors yet, but it would be a stunner if he does not go back to the Warriors because of this move. That is a dead giveaway. They think, anyway, that Draymond's coming back. And so the Warriors, they conceded to their player, their longtime player, who has more value to them than anywhere else, and Draymond wins the Cold War. You could say that Draymond Green punched Jordan Poole 2,800 miles across the continental United States from San Francisco to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a punch. That is quite the punch. So how is the future of the Golden State franchise looking? All right, so short term, the Warriors are going to be the old geezer bandits of the NBA, right? The old geezer bandits there. But that's only going to last 2 to 3 years tops. And after that, things are going to become very damp. And it'll bring back memories. You'll harken back 20-plus years ago when Eric Dampier and Antoine Jameson and Larry Hughes were the headliners. Can they find Dave Cowan somewhere? I don't know if he's still around. The Warriors, he can be the coach. The Warriors wanted, a couple years ago, they wanted to be the Spurs. They were convinced that they had figured out how to solve the Rubik's Cube of the NBA. Just like San Antonio tanked, and then they got Tim Duncan after they tanked to get David Robinson. And the Warriors are like, okay, we got the same setup here. They had the terrible year. Curry got hurt, and they got the number 2 pick in the draft. And instead of being the Spurs, it turns out they're going to be the bad boy Pistons. If you're old enough to remember that, they had Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, and they kept them. And they kept them until they rotted, and they still kept them, and they were ineffective, and they continued to toss them out on the court because the plan was, if you look at the blueprint, the plan was the future building blocks that were going to continue to push forward the glory days of the Warriors. Jordan Poole was the be-all, everything guard, and James Weissman was the big man. That was the next generation. They were going to take the baton and go for it. And unless I'm mistaken, and maybe you can touch up my work here, Golden State gave away Jordan Poole and James Weissman, the 2 players that were supposed to be the continuation players, for the return of Gary Payton II and Chris Paul and his Walker. That is what they did. Tremendous basketball move by the Golden State Warriors. Bravo. Bravo. I look forward to watching you free fall in the standings of the Western Conference. It's like they're being run by a drunken sailor over there. All right, now, last word. So how will Jordan Poole do in Washington? I'm glad you asked. So on the Maller report card, I'm going to update my grade with the new information I have. I hammered the Wizards the other day. I whipped them. All right, what are you doing? I like the trade. I like this part of the trade. I give them an A-. I'm fair. I'm waving my magic wand. I'm giving them an A- on the Maller report card. Good job. All right. And for Jordan Poole, it's not great for him. He gets to keep moving on with his NBA career. They give him the keys to the Sorcerer's Workshop He's got his own magic hat and magic box and all that. And Jordan Poole will be starring in a remake of an old Western, playing the role of the Lone Ranger. And that means you can shoot early, you can shoot often, as much as your heart desires. No one will care. You can play the role. Bradley Beal's gone. You can play his role. Jordan Poole can average 30 shots a game and 30 points per game. Just keep shooting and destroy the rim, blow it to smithereens, just knock yourself out there. And he will also be popping up at the grocery store on the back of milk cartons, because outside of fantasy hoops players and gamblers, and maybe our friend the Ostrich, who lives in the greater Washington, D.C. area there, outside of him and maybe one other person, nobody else is going to notice. But at least I'm going to be Benny Brightside for Jordan Poole. At least he'll be away from the workplace violence that he had to deal with the Warrior franchise. And if Draymond Green had been in the shoes of one of the lesser players, he would have been let go by the Warriors, but he was too valuable. They couldn't let him go. But we would like to thank also Golden State. Seriously, and I'm goofing on the Warriors here because I think it's a terrible trade and they're incompetent. But I would like to thank them because they won the Chris Paul sweepstakes, which meant the Clippers did not bring back Chris Paul. So good job by you. You win the white elephant of the NBA offseason. Congratulations. I hope you enjoy it. Good luck. Now, I am a little upset because I was hoping Chris Paul was going to end up with the Lakers. I'm bummed out he's not. I would have liked to have seen him run that franchise completely into the ground because they've already got old man James over there. But did not happen, so now we'll have to watch Chris Paul take down the Golden State Warriors. And I can't wait to read the story online. It's just bad luck. I can't believe Chris Paul got hurt again and is going to miss the postseason for the Warriors. Hopefully he'll come back for Game 18 of the 7-game series, if it goes that far.